You're now listening to the Open Africa podcast with Laulu, Nosa, and Furo. On this episode of the Open Africa podcast, we will be discussing Lazerpay and Eyowo and some other gist in the industry in general. Hi Laulu, hi Nosa. Let's get into it.
Hello.
So, Eyowo... should we start Eyowo?
Who started that let's get into it thing? Because I feel like I see it on like every TikTok.
Are you serious?
Like when people are talking.
And now you've brought it to Open Africa.
I think I watched too many TikTok videos. I had to delete the app, to be fair.
I can't delete the app.
I had to delete the app. Because
I can do like 2 hours on TikTok.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I haven't gotten into
I
TikTok.
start...
I don't even have an account.
I have it. I have an account.
They let you
They
view
let
without
you
even
watch
having an
videos
account.
without an account.
Maybe that's a startup idea. To get people hooked. Don't beg for sign up.
Financial services are being no KYC.
No,
2
I didn't say
hours.
financial services. So.
2 hours before bed. Like I say, oh, I'm going to
And
sleep.
2 hours after
Like,
waking up in the morning.
Yeah, I'll be like, okay, I just want to sleep. And let me just check TikTok and see what's happening. And I'll be there like 1 a.m.
You're still there.
I'm still on TikTok.
Yeah. It's a problem. I deleted the app. I deleted it on all my...
Do you know sometimes I've paused movies so I can just check something on TikTok?
I assume we were supposed to talk about Lazerpay.
Yes, we were.
Okay.
So that was a side.
It's a good segue because TikTok is a Gen Z app and Lazerpay is a Gen Z founder.
It feels like you are reaching just a smidge.
I feel like
Just a smidge of
it's
a
a
reach.
demographic that likes TikTok as well.
Anyways, Lazerpay. I guess there's been a lot of... So Lazerpay, I guess for anybody that lives under a rock, they have basically shut down business, right?
Yeah.
And what does Lazerpay do? Who wants to walk us through?
Crypto infrastructure.
It's retail. It's not
something.
retail crypto.
It was so it was like pay stack for crypto. You could accept crypto from. When I say it like that, no way. Let's not get into that.
Basically, pay stack for crypto.
I wish
Yes.
you guys could see Nusa's
Something like
face.
Something like that. So enabling merchants collect payments
Crypto.
and receive payments.
In crypto.
I say collect and receive.
B2B
I'm
crypto.
tired.
Hmm,
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, now there's a lot of controversy around. So first, I think after they announced that they were winding down business, the founder was a bit close-lipped about doing interviews and interacting with the media, and there's a lot of debate about it. Some people felt like he should come out and speak up and man up, and some people thought that it was okay that he was processing it the way he was processing it, sort of without addressing the general public.
And what's it called? So he put like a screenshot of some reporter that was reaching out to him for comment, and it was basically, "Oh, I don't want to talk, blah blah blah. I'll talk on my own time." He's actually talked on his own time. There's one podcast he did with one babe with the Flip,
He did with the Flip, yeah.
but I haven't listened to it yet. But apparently he talks about what happened. But either way, he didn't want to talk to this guy, and it was like a whole thing about how he's immature, blah blah blah. But I think what everybody's forgetting is that he's a 21-year-old. Might be a 21-year-old founder, but he's a 21-year-old and thinks like a 21-year-old. And I remember being a 21-year-old, and I feel like that's the kind of reaction I could have had to certain things. And I mean, we see them fight on the internet every day where they are sharing screenshots of their private conversation. This is standard behavior for 21-year-olds.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is, like, ultimately, founders, in reality, they owe their customers an explanation, and beyond their direct customers, they don't owe the general ecosystem. That's my point of view, anyways.
Nusa, would you say that your reaction to this thing is because you genuinely like the Lazerpay guy?
No,
Like,
I've
if
actually.
would you ride for another random foolish 21-year-old?
Yes, I would. Like that boy that's doing airtime as money.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, I feel like that's a foolish business, but I feel like young people should be allowed to explore foolish things.
Yeah, explore, fail, learn, keep it moving.
Now, if that boy's business eventually doesn't work out, which it will not work out, because again, airtime is no money in this country. It is drilled into regulatory. It is airtime, but it's exciting to see him try, and it's exciting to see him try to push the agenda.
Would you say that you are infantilizing the guy?
Oh my God, no.
A 21-year-old is a child. I mean,
Not a child.
Okay, it's not a child, but it's like a very young adult.
Yeah. Young, and then you have to understand, in terms of like work experience and all of that, you have to understand that there's lots of context that you don't have at 21. That's just the reality. Yeah, and then you also then have to drill it down to the fact that these people are working in an what do you call it in Africa? Developing
market.
When I was 21, I was graduating undergrad. I'd only worked as a research assistant in undergrad. That's my experience with employment as a 21-year-old. And I did an internship. That's my experience as a 21-year-old. So you're telling me that if I built a company, then you would expect me to be Jeff Bezos type mature? I was 21, that's when I can legally drink. I just started legally drinking.
In America.
Yeah, so...
Because I was going to say, in this place, they used to give 5-year-olds testing. Say, come and taste.
Now, was his response, like, if you're being very neutral and you move age out of it? No, it wasn't a mature thing to do. But again, there should be nuance. He is 21. And I remember when I was 21 on Twitter, and they were talking about one girl that stole somebody's power bank at the charger, and the other one accused her of doing cocaine. Now I see that girl and she's like a responsible member of society, making art, and everybody's hailing her. But I can never forget that she was once 21 and people were calling her a charger thief or something, or maybe a cocaine doer, one of them. But again, I just remember it is youth. It is what happens in youth. I see 21-year-olds on TikTok. I see them doing dances. In fact, maybe they build something, they can build whatever. I still expect a 21-year-old to behave like a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
It's not infantilizing. I was once 21. If he was 30 doing the same thing, I'll be like, grow up. Now, the people that are behaving like Agbayas are people who are
in their 40s.
People doing LinkedIn thread.
Doing LinkedIn, doing passage on LinkedIn, talking about how he's poorly behaved. Excuse me, sir. Go and take care of your children. Go and pay school fees. Drink some milk. Your joints are weak.
Wow.
Like, you have Agbayas on the internet with kids and families. I mean, if I go through your recent pictures, I can see you and your two sons playing. Your two sons are almost in secondary school, and you are here talking about, he should be more mature, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah.
So the only other way that he could have been expected to be better is if he had like strong advisors. But the reality is that he had raised 100K, and he raised 100K from other startup-ish founders that are, so where would he have gotten I don't know. I feel like Musa said anyways, I think expectations were too high in terms of how he should handle it. And I don't think he handled it particularly badly.
He just didn't want to talk to you guys.
He just didn't want to talk to you guys.
He just didn't want. And it's not. And again, another thing that I feel like people need to relax on is, look, the business that collapsed, after he talks to his customers and talks to his investors, this is not a publicly listed company.
Yep.
It's not a bank.
Yep.
He doesn't, and he especially doesn't need to talk to your publication.
There's a certain entitlement. And speaking of publication, and there's one thing that the TechPoint founder and his editor-in-chief have been doing, being very sly, anti-startup, whatever, very an undertone of, I'm trying to be very measured in
politically
my thing,
correct,
but it is very poor. It is very in poor taste. Even Tech About does it. Like there's this whole. But not in Silicon Valley. We are still in Lagos. We are still doing this whole tech media versus journalism. Tech bros.
I avoid anybody in like the tech press space. When we see, I'll greet you. But if anything happens and you're in my WhatsApp DMs, I'm not answering you.
I mean,
till I see you again, greet like we're friends again.
I steadily ignore
Yeah.
press requests. Yeah. This is what it is. It's not my.
Because when I was at Endeavor, and that whole thing happened with Flutterwave, a lot of them were reaching out. I'm like, what am I supposed to say?
Like, you want gist? Like, calm down. I'm not here to give you gist. But again, I mean, maybe in a structured country, perhaps these things are different. But we're all in Lagos. We're all here together. So And just going back to this Lazerpay thing and him being 21. Now, I don't in my day-to-day life hang out with 21-year-olds.
If you did, I'd be worried. I don't
Like,
think you can stand
There's
them.
nothing that puts me in constant contact with 21-year-olds out apart from Twitter. So it's just to put things in context when I see these 40 plus people bashing him. I cannot imagine me as a post 30-year-old sitting down.
Damn.
They
See,
posted.
I'm sorry.
Sitting down outside with fellow olds, and I'm talking about a 21-year-old being immature.
Oh,
And I think
geez.
when you put it in that context of, would you have a real life conversation about this? Do you just it just amplifies how much of an agbaya move it is? No, think about it now.
My days.
Now imagine your dad came home and your dad just sits down on the couch and he does what is equivalent of a LinkedIn post while talking to his friends, and the topic is a 21-year-old that said something somewhere. Can you imagine? I think maybe it's because we're on Twitter and it's like, all these things like the level.
Do you know the funny thing is, like, when you now gave that example, it has a very Nigerian connotation to it. Like, it's the most Nigerian agbaya thing, and it's because we really can't mind our business.
Yeah.
Like, this thing that you said is an actual thing that happens. Like, men and women in their 40s and 50s, and it's the neighbor's daughter that
they're talking about.
with her colored hair. Yes,
And exactly
that they are talking about.
And we call when we see them doing it, we say, look at this agbaya.
Yeah.
That is our normal reaction. So I don't know why it is so absurd to see someone doing on the internet and say this is not agbaya.
What you are saying is the LinkedIn version of the behavior that we know and we castigate.
Yeah. But anyways, I think we can move on from this.
Did I just say what does castigate even mean? Jesus
Don't
Christ.
worry.
And you know what's funny is that on my way home, I'm actually going to listen to his podcast because I thought I really want to learn the dynamics of it. Again, as Furo said about advisors, we know who his advisors are.
Please, no further comments. Thank you very much. Next episode.
Yes. See you next episode.
Actually, I'm not afraid. Say what you want to say. I
I'm
just
not
clocked that. I don't really send this one.
I'm not saying it.
Call his advisors by
I'm
name.
not calling anybody by
Did
name.
their own business also enter?
They too needed advice. Someone that needs advice cannot be advising. That's what I'll put it at.
Oh man.
Moving on swiftly, we saw that CBN listed a long list of people that they revoked their licenses for different reasons. Some were just inactivity, some was failure to report according to their requirements, etc., etc. And one of the notable names on
Is
there,
Eyowo.
yes,
So it was there. I saw Block owns Bancorp. Bancorp was there.
See,
Dash, that one that the founder lied about his numbers. They also have an MFB, Spectra. Spectra was there as well. Purple Money too,
Purple Money was actually very interesting.
because I thought this was a responsible business.
Same. And for context, before the CBN will revoke your license,
They would have warned
they
you.
will have been warning you on an ongoing basis. They will have written to you.
You'd have visited
They will have sent you email. They will have written to you like sheet of paper letter printed hot from the printer. They will have served you. They will have come to your office. So for them to revoke your license, yeah, is speak bad.
I think Eyowo is interesting because a couple of weeks ago, their CEO did one video talking about how they want to give customers better service, so they're pausing new sign-ups
Do
until
you think
July
he knew
1st.
by that time?
probably,
Yeah, it's up, man.
probably.
Yeah, it's up, man.
Yeah, figured.
Because the issues regarding transfers, and it came out because, again, this is why when people say NIBS is not an arm of CBN, I always say people are foolish. Because why is it the first weapon of the CBN
It's just
to yank you off NIBS?
They are influential, and it's a way to strong arm you into behaving yourself.
But do they yank off? They won't yank you from Interswitch. They won't yank you from eTransact.
Are they writing to Interswitch for weeks without response?
They will yank
See,
you off
those
of
are-
NIPS, NIP instantly.
Look, dealing
Same
with the
thing with
regulator,
rubies. Removed.
dealing with the regulator is hard, but you can deal with the regulator and never have life-threatening issues for 120 years because they are always very clear on what it is that they want. They can find you here and there. Now everybody chops fine. There's a standard thing. In fact, you budget for it at the start of the year. You budget for the fines that you get. But by and large, you will get by because their rules are very clear. This one, I don't know. I don't know what Purple Money did. I really want to hear. Eyowo is a bit more straightforward. I'm not surprised. And I feel bad that I'm not surprised. But it has been a very wild year for them.
I'm surprised and not surprised at the same time. Again, like what's it called? You know me, I always keep track of my ops on the internet.
Jesus Christ.
And unfortunately, they're one of my ops. Because this is why I hate fintech marketing people, because they are always intentionally agonizing. And anytime I have either card problem or what's it called, you see them, we don't have failure.
By the way,
leave the bank that has failure. And I'll just be there waiting for you for your own down.
you see, on this failure thing, my bank does not used to fail. I just need all of you to know that all of us were in the same boat together, and it's turn by turn.
And
Is the way it's turn by turn, you will not believe it.
you know what's it called? That's how Tech About did that article about why don't banks use cloud. Then like 2 days later, Carbon is knocked out for like 3 days because of cloud.
There's even a gap there, because if you're in the industry, you know that by regulation, banks cannot house the architecture in the cloud unless if that thing changes tomorrow. You have to be on prem. You have to be able to point to your thing.
Yeah,
you can have certain
services that are not
You can
essential.
have certain services on the cloud, but even that one safe, when they come and ask you, you will show them your on-prem equivalent. It may not be doing anything,
But you
must have it on-prem. You think this market is for the faint-hearted?
It is not.
Or you think people don't? You think you are the only one that knows AWS?
No,
or
what's it
GCP,
called?
or
GCP,
Azure?
Azure. Why don't
think you are the only
they
one?
use cloud?
Oh my god.
Cloud infrastructure. The banks are struggling because they don't use cloud.
So the thing for me is, again, down to like reporting. I'm not trying to shade anybody, but like when you're making these comments, go and read regulation. Do you get what I mean? Like read like
No, they read regulation and they were like,
And ignored it.
that the CBN doesn't say anything, blah blah blah, that you can use cloud. And in my mind is like, anybody that has not been audited, I don't want to hear anything about regulation from you. I feel like if you have been audited once, just do one audit.
Even a casual, careless statement in an audit, you can spend the next 2 hours explaining it.
And I, as a veteran auditor, I mean, I can say that I've done four, partially one at Stanbic, and 4 in my full career. I can tell you that yes, if you have been in an audit and they have asked you certain questions and you had to defend certain things, and you're on the hot seat, your perspective on many things will change. So again, back to fintech marketing and my ops. When you start, people make all this like careless marketing, kinikon. I'm always just them, okay. When the day comes, we'll see in front. So this is particularly, it's very interesting. Because didn't they have that issue where you were not paying salary, but you were paying half salary or quarter salary?
Yeah, they had salary issues. And look, if you look back at Eyowo's history, before even the N-Power thing, my first experience with Softcom, which is like the parent company, was from my time in CU, where somehow they got the contract to deploy.
They're CU boys now, aren't they?
Yeah, but they got a contract with the school to deploy tablets, I think, and a learning platform or something like that. And not me, word on the streets is that, the thing didn't really pop like that. The next I heard of them was that they were doing these Empower Trader Money all these government
To
contracts.
switch from government contracts
To real
to
work.
retail
It's
business.
tough.
Tears, blood.
Then they started doing B2B at some point. They had the MFB that was doing like brick and mortar financial services in, I think, Obalende or somewhere like that. And then all of a sudden, next time here, because they had this events where they had a ton of products poised for the market, quick sell, POS terminals, accounting tools, also just a bunch of stuff, and it looked really exciting. Next I will hear is that they are focusing squarely on B2C. And Nosa is here. He's a veteran B2C guy. Will you recommend?
If I can do this thing, if I can do startup again, I'll never do B2C. In fact, I will even do startup. I'll do employment.
B2C is probably the most useless of all the route to market you can have.
B2C in Nigeria is
In
the
Nigeria,
worst. Is the worst.
it is a difficult place, and if you are doing financial services in B2C, you are dealing with a very saturated market where your competitor has the exact same products as you, calling the same APIs from the same service providers, the same everything, only the color and your app is different.
And someone
And
tell
your-
you, these people never fail.
User journey.
Your user journey, all of us at this point, maybe only the banks, because CBN won't let them do some things, but everybody has the same journey.
user journey.
It's the same.
See, the moat that you have is your maybe your UX, but when you
Yes.
strip it
That's
down,
what I mean by
And your
user
brand.
journey,
yeah,
like
and your branding,
UX
but
on the
but
app. Because we're all buying airtime, but not everybody's
And-
airtime flow is the same.
And by
that
the way-
maybe it will guess the amount you want to buy
Yes.
first. Some people
And by
it
the
will
way,
fulfill your number.
If you launch a new product today, before the end of the week,
Your competition has
Yosa will
launched
have shipped it. Because he too, he has had the same idea since 2 years ago. By next week, Carbon has shipped their own too. Because everybody has the same ideas. B2C is hard. So when they took that decision to focus on B2C, and then maybe they couldn't get government contracts anymore, and they didn't really press on with the B2B like that, what I now started hearing from them, or the gist around them, is that they have a bloated workforce for all the many things that they were trying to do, but
Yeah.
none of it was particularly a money spinner. Because you can use one product, the success of one product to offset, to fund others, and just be pushing it until
That's
that
how
one
Stanbic
blows.
used to do that here now.
But
Bank was not a successful product.
retail bank
For
was
a
not
long
a
time.
successful product for the
Yeah.
longest time. Like if you look at the
Imagine that.
annual reports,
Imagine that B2C again.
Yeah.
and it's B2C. It's
Stanbic
B2C. Everybody doing B2C in this market, provided it's not flour and biscuits that you are selling,
So yeah,
you will see shaggy.
I've worked my entire career in B2C. My first job in Nigeria was NYC, and I worked at DSTV. And I remember I was going to meet someone because I worked with like online, and I went to like the main office because I was going to see one of my friends there, and I just saw a customer like blasting this babe, like one of the babes that was like sells you do this thing, and I was like, why is this guy vexing like this now? Why is he so enraged? The guys, I think those entry level plans.
Yeah,
Maybe he paid that they didn't
Go
enter.
TV.
It was like 1.6, and in my
Bro.
mind I was like, this guy has caused. See the attention he has commanded for
Bro.
1.6. Like even
Bro.
then, me as a couple, I was like, I can pay this guy's DSTV and let him go now.
When I started as a graduate trainee, and we'll come back to Eyowo in a bit. When I started as a graduate trainee, I had a stint in the branch. I had one guy who came in ready to fight on a 16 naira debit. 16 naira. The guy came in, walked straight to me. Me, graduate trainee, they didn't really know what to
Ginger.
do with me.
Ginger.
No, it's not even ginger. They just didn't know what to do with me. So I was just sitting down somewhere in the branch looking respectable. And the guy walked up to me and he was like, you people tell me what this debit for is. You tell me what this debit is for today.
See, this is
And
how
I
you're
to
stealing our
determine
money.
whether I'm closing my account or not. My brethren, it was a credit. It was interest credit on his savings account.
Not even debit.
Not even a debit. on his account,
You know?
and he came in ready to fight all of us.
You know one
It
thing
is
I
the
liked
ghetto.
I liked about Yinka Sani back then was if a customer was too much, he literally told them to close the account and give him his money. I mean, because I've never seen it happen, but people have told me that sometimes, like, if someone is being too ridiculous, you just say, close the account. We don't want to do business with you.
Yeah.
You should go to another bank.
You should be able to decide that as a business to be.
Yes, but the problem is that if you are doing that for everybody that is being ridiculous, you will not have two customers at the end of
But
the
the thing
day.
is that there's ridiculous and there's ridiculous.
Slightly exaggerating, but
Yeah.
you get my point.
There's ridiculous.
The point,
and there's ridiculous.
the broader point is that
Look at
B2C is the ghetto.
see. So occasionally, I still do customer service stuff for Kuda, like once in a while, because sometimes I'm bored. Sometimes this I get customer insights, but I remember there was this one guy that I was talking to and I was trying to help, and he forgot his password, like not his Kuda password to his Gmail. So
How?
he wasn't getting the password reset because he couldn't access his Gmail, and he was so upset, and he kept saying that this is how I want to rob him. And in my mind, I was like, it's your Gmail, man. It's Google. It's not me. I think it was just one of those things. I was just like, you know what? I really don't need to be doing customer service. So I just assigned the ticket to like someone in customer service and I closed it. I was like, look, this is not my job. Why am I doing this? No, but it's like B2C
It's crazy.
It's insane.
It's crazy. So I feel like if they had the path to chase B2B, right, and deal with businesses, deploy terminals, do small processing. If you can get some license, do processing.
Because they have a payment processing license, something like that, if I remember correctly. They have a payment license.
Like, just chase B2B and leave this B2C bit.
Can I just say something though? As hard as B2C is, B2B too has its own madness. And me, I'm speaking from working in B2B.
I agree, Furo, but revenue per business.
Yes, as sweet as that revenue per business is,
You suffer.
when they
But
decide
they can
to
pay
move
your
that
salary.
But when they decide to move that business, you will understand that
Look,
Furo.
it's easier to beg.
I
It's easier
get
to,
you.
I can go
But
to someone's office and beg.
B2B conversations are very often value driven.
So I understand. So the thing
I don't
the
mind like
difference-
begging B2B, like for businesses.
I beg every day. That's my day-to-day life, right? So the thing is that the difference for me between B2B and B2C is that B2B, by the time you sign the contract, you're a lot more entrenched in their business. Your goal is to get as deep into their business as possible, so that the day they want to switch, they have to think a number of times.
You concession the hell out of yourself that the switching cost is high, but you are still eating because you are doing volumes with them.
If you're not deeply entrenched, then you're in the same boat as B2C, because they can decide when this is just off traffic.
Yeah, I hear you, but even the marketing is different.
Very different.
Like,
yes, I agree.
The ads, the things you need to do is
For
different.
your B2B,
It's
you have to go
expensive.
to what's it called, Computer Village and dance.
I'm not dancing.
You don't have to dance.
Computer Village, please.
You have to dance.
I don't even know where Computer Village is. Please.
This is a good thing.
Please.
But yeah, so they took that decision and they still had the bloated workforce from chasing multiple things. And by the time I started hearing about this, it was just a few months before we started hearing that they couldn't pay salaries and whatnot.
Sorry to cut into what you're saying, but a thing that has been playing in my mind a lot recently in this new landscape with all these layoffs and all of that is this whole thing about startups getting excited and just having an over-bloated workforce. Why does everybody keep falling into that trap? Because at the end of the day, when money is tight, they realize who the essential staff are and then they trim the fat. So why don't you just operate with that?
But Furo, it's you that explained this thing to me now.
That
when
way.
you raise and you've told your investor that you're going to do something. It's you on this podcast that explained it. No. I didn't know before. It's you.
No,
so you can't be asking.
No. But the thing is, like, now that I'm looking at it, I understand that you told your investors XYZ. But again, I feel like investors should understand they're trying to preserve that capital. Right?
For
so
imagine if we were the owners of Kuda and we told investors that for our next trick, we'll start financing entertainers and skit makers.
You have to now do the
We will
entertainment
hire
division.
the credits guys now. We'll hire the entertainment focused relationship
Division.
managers. We'll hire plenty of them. We'll go and look for ex-managers,
And-
sign them up as brand ambassadors.
And when it's not
We'll spend that
working,
money.
and when it's not working,
Now
and
you
time I
sack
said,
everybody.
do I really need to give?
I mean,
finance
let's go back to
certificate?
basics. That's when we'll start doing medium posts. For the next year, we are focusing on the basics
No,
and optimizing for value delivery.
Working on our core products.
the thing drives me crazy. I think for me right now, just looking at it, I think like sometimes I understand why the older businesses are not so quick to jump on trends. And then when they're so like look at Stanbic at B2C, right? When they wanted to do their digital transformation journey, they carried 6 of us and put us in a room in a company of 5,000, 6,000 at the time. They tasked 6 people to do digital transformation. They didn't go and hire 50 people. They didn't put ED. They didn't put. It was 2 graduate trainees.
I was about to say,
They use cheap labor.
Yes. It was 2 graduate trainees, and they just put one Oga so that the Oga can talk to other Ogas.
but you know the funny thing, if it was a startup doing that, they would first hire the Oga from Facebook, from Meta. Then they will find one person that has been making noise on LinkedIn and doing and sowing thread on Twitter. Then they will now hire that person. They'll be paying them in USD, but they'll be generating their revenues in Naira. Exchange rate risk will now be finishing them every month.
But the way we started the Stanbic was 2 graduate trainees, then one Oga. They were now begging developers to just help us do this one. Just do this line
See,
for us.
guys,
Developers in IT.
Guys, and like we've said multiple times on this podcast, because sometimes it almost feels like we are redacted riding banks, but those guys have hacked doing business in this country.
But you know, it's because
They've hacked it.
it's because they have years of experience. Like they've built that muscle and they understand.
And even
But
if
you
they
can
and they
learn
have-
from them
and
now.
they
No,
have-
sir, your own
So
guys
wait,
now.
no, I'll tell you.
Your own guys are ex-bankers
Wait,
now,
no,
and it shows.
And I'll tell you something. It's the same thing we talked about Lazerpay about and founders. For some reason, we just think founders are special. Starting a business does not make you special.
Please say it louder for the people at the back, because
Like,
that thing. Anyways.
we just think founders are special, and because and it's very hard for us to reconcile that founders can do stupid things like overhiring because they're overexcited, and most of these founders are young.
Yeah.
Most of these founders, it's not like,
Even older founders are doing nothing.
I mean,
okay.
but think about it now. Most of the guys, it's not as if it's a former ED that had to manage P&L. Like, how many founders started a business after having P&L responsibility, after having direct reports? You rarely find you rarely find that. It's someone that was like an employee.
They're mostly developers.
He was an IC and decided to strike out and do his own thing. Then, or maybe someone that worked for someone that was an IC, then goes and starts his own thing. But you never see people who actually like went through the ladder and been through like different phases and had to manage.
I think
So,
that those people
yeah.
have seen Shaggy and they know that.
And legacy companies are startups that made it past that death curve.
Exactly.
They made it past it, so they took all those learnings and scaled with it.
And they've embedded it in their
Yeah.
culture. Like
They might have plateaued now, but their fundamentals are very strong.
They're stable.
because the way they are built is that even an idiot will
As
not,
CEO will
as
not
the
flop
CEO
the
will
business.
not tank this company. There's so many checks and balances in place, right? I mean, some CEOs.
I mean, I did my hand like this. That's why.
there's some CEOs. I
Some
mean, if
CEOs.
not, there would have been a sparkling bank still with us.
Jesus Christ.
But again, so not everybody is a gem.
I just want to say to my employer, in case you are listening, that this is a 3-man podcast, and I cannot always control the things that we hear.
No, but back to it is that there are rules and processes that have been tried and tested and modified year after year. Like, these are process-driven entities. They are not people-driven entities. Lots of startups are people-driven entities.
Yeah.
And you might lock out and find the right people.
You know, this is a conversation I actually had recently, because I think that making that transition from a Stanbic to endeavor to Smile, I've been mentally struggling with just that change in terms of like how I work and type of work that I'm doing and the scope of work that I'm doing. And I had a conversation with a colleague and he was like, we need to understand that in a bank or in a big organization, how do I put it? In a big organization, you're playing, you have
a very focused role.
You're playing a focused role, but then you have room to do more if you choose to apply yourself, right? But in a startup, you're needed for one role, and that one role evolves fully around you. Do you get what I mean? Like, it's like if you're out of the company, you have to give the company enough time to recruit and fill up that role before you leave. But in a big organization, if you leave today,
it's not an issue.
Like things will continue running till whenever they feel like replacing you.
I mean, when I left Stanbic, I was like, these guys will fail without me. They didn't fail; they're still there. I mean, it still exists. Mm-hmm. The department is still there. Mm-hmm. Nobody died. Mm-hmm. I left. My guy left. Developer left. Mm-hmm. In fact, all of us that started that team have left. We are not there. But the team
Gen 2 have all left.
The second gen have left. The team still exists.
Yeah.
Because it's not a people thing. I remember the first time I wanted to go and leave Akuda, like December 2019. And I told my boss, I was like, hey, it's Eating Festival, I was coming, I want to go, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, look, I'm not going to lie to you. If you leave, who's going to do to work? And I looked around, I was like, you have a point. It means the work will pause until January. And when I come back, it's not built like that. Mm-hmm. Like, so when you are people driven, there's not enough.
There's no room for error.
There's not enough, like, overhiring.
Yeah.
You can't overhire in a GT or a Stanbic because the decision on headcount is like now they're making for next year's decision. Yeah. They're having meetings and strategy sessions now. It's not like guys that are having their strategy session in January, February.
The calendar that they will share for customers for 2024 is ready. Mm-hmm. In banks. Like, up today. Mm-hmm. This is May. It's ready.
The strategy.
The slogan for next year.
So next year they have decided it.
They've decided it.
Like, this is what the execs are doing. They are preparing for next year so that next year is on autopilot.
Yeah, and they have enough room because you have the executors, then you have middle management, and you have the executives. Between the middle management and the executors, they are doing the day-to-day.
They are doing the day-to-day.
Executive management is planning the future.
It's planning the future. So in a place like that, these guys are not going to hire 50, 20 departments next down the line because they already agreed like budgets. Mm-hmm. Like even hiring, if you wanted to break budget that was set like mid-year,
you have to go all the way to.
We used to write justifications. Yeah. Justifications for me to spend like 50k over budget.
Yeah.
Like, and you have to explain it to go up level. CEO will have to sign that. Yes, I agree with this justification.
Your guy will sign.
Your guy
will sign. Then before it's reach the CEO.
Just in content, maybe not 50,000 naira, sure, but the point stands. Because these people, they are dangerous people. How can you say the CEO signs for 50k
over budget? No, the thing is like the first year
is extra budget here.
Yeah, the first year.
No, you can expense that thing now. You just expense it.
It depends on your.
Well, it depends on the spend,
and it depends on what it is.
Yeah,
like,
and it depends on
if it's like 50k for food. That's
then
a different
you can
case.
expense it. You just log on.
If I say it's 50k to hire social media influencer,
and it wasn't in the head count.
And it wasn't in the head count.
Anyways, I think we flogged this topic enough.
Yeah, but Eyowo is a sorry story. Because I know they've had a lot of great people come through.
One of my favorite product managers that I've ever hired came from Eyowo.
Yeah, they have really wonderful people. That have many of whom have left, and I can imagine that many.
I heard is that they don't have iOS developer anymore.
But the thing is, like, having said all this, it'll be interesting to see if they can bounce back because CBN revoking your license is not the end of the road, is it? Is it the end?
So let me just let you know now that.
Have you seen Rubies? Where's Rubies now?
If the CBN revokes your
It's
license
a big
and you are
deal,
part
sha.
of executive management in that organization, just know that you may never be able to get another license as an exec. If you work for a financial service organization, you can't go from general staff to middle management to senior management. They would never approve.
That's what I was about to say.
They would never approve.
Because whenever I think what most people don't know, if you are senior management
Yeah,
in any company,
CBN
like
has to
officially
approve.
senior management in any bank,
yeah.
even microfinance bank,
CBN must approve.
CBN has to approve it.
Yeah,
You might have you might have senior management type title in your thing, but if it's not CBN approved, you're not
it is not on the
recognized.
CADA, that CADA system that the CBN runs for everybody.
So
You can't go to senior management if they don't approve it.
if CBN can sack senior management,
Correct.
and if CBN sacks you as senior management because they felt like you've done a terrible job managing the bank that they trusted you with, they will never approve you to be senior management somewhere else.
See,
If you seek a
truthfully-
license as the managing director of the company, they will never hire you. If the company is sleek and they use somebody else as managing director to apply for the license and they grant that person the license, when they want to hand over to you, they need to write to the CBN, and it's at that point that you will meet them again.
So the thing for me is like, ultimately, financial services is not a joke. Like, I think people think because we deal with everybody needs financial services daily. I think people think that solving the problems there are a joke, but it's not a joke. Sometimes I feel like you're better off just going to go and sell rice because nobody's checking on you.
Bro, that building that you bought to do your microfinance
look,
bank this thing, just turn it into 2 sets of 3-bedroom
Like,
apartments.
I think it's because
Airbnb.
and
it's
lease
because
it out or
fintechs
do
have been raising
Airbnb.
money recently, and it's all fintech is like the sexy industry, and people just think it's a walk in the park. It's not really a walk in the park.
Do you know there's an idea I've been mulling on? I've been mulling over it, and it has to do with like I need like a credit bureau license to run it. Guess the capital requirements for credit bureau license. 500 million naira. I was so confused because I went to go and check like how much do you really need for this thing? In my mind I was like maybe 50M. It's like 500M. And guess what? If you do a horrible job with that one too, they can sack you. This industry is not for the faint-hearted. It's nice and shiny when everything is going well, but underground, you are dealing with forces that are way more powerful than you. In any case, I think this is the end of this episode.
Yes.
Not sure we covered everything I wanted to cover. Next episode.
No, next episode.
Next episode.
We'll discuss
Sooner than you think.
in our
Sooner than you
cards.
think.
Thank you for
Peace.
listening.
Peace.